Welcome, everyone. Oh my God. That video, that start of that video just brings back a lot of memories for me as well as for a lot of our viewers today. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the 27th anniversary of Pistahan in San Francisco. My name is Wennie Conedy. I am a board member of the Filipino Food Movement. The Filipino Food Movement has been tasked to curate this virtual presentation of the Culinary Pavilion for Pistahan. We have been doing this for many years, but because of COVID, we had to pivot and do a virtual presentation instead. And we have lined up a number of chefs and wonderful speakers today for Culinary Pavilion, one of which is one of my favorite people on the earth. He is so artistic, so articulate, and so talented in cooking. Please welcome to the Filipino Food Movement's Culinary Pavilion our honored guest, Chef Cocoy Ventura, who is, by the way, in the Philippines. Welcome, Chef Cocoy.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, everybody. And welcome to our humble abode here in the Isabela province up north of Luzon, here in the Philippines. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.
Magandang umaga rin, Chef. Oh my God, that video. I want some coffee now. Ano yung kapeng ginagawa mo? What coffee was that? Saan
This is
galing?
coffee that is sourced from Baguio, Nueva Vizcaya. It's still within the Cagayan Valley. It's within my region. It's actually, the place is located 800 to 1200 meters from the valley floor. They grow heirloom robustas, and they do such a fantastic job.
Ay, sarap. I know you're a coffee connoisseur, and I know one of the things that you've done in your life is to manage a coffee bar. But before we even go there, um, tell me, how did your career start? I mean, you grew up in Isabela, yes?
Yes, I did. I grew up here in this town called San Mateo, and I grew up here. I went to elementary school just about 500 meters away from here. I graduated there. I went to a Catholic school in the main town. I graduated there, and then we left for the U.S. when I was 15 for Guam as our port of entry. And then I went to school in New York thereafter. And then post 9/11, I moved to San Francisco.
And I think
Thank you.
that is where I met you, was in San Francisco. So
Yes.
Tell me, Chef Cocoy, tell me the trajectory of your career. Where did you first start? I mean, where did the love of cooking first come in?
Well, it all started here in the province. You know, Isabela, first of all, is an agricultural province. The valley itself. Our main crop here in Isabela is corn and rice. We are surrounded by three major mountain ranges. So the Sierra Madre mountain range actually starts here, and then it stretches all the way down to Bicolandia. And on the other side, to our west is actually the Cordillera. So we're right next to Abra and Kalinga, Apayao, and also, and the rest of the Ifugao is actually our neighbor. We're on the foot. And on the south, we have the Caraballo mountain ranges. So we are actually right in the center, surrounded all these by these majestic mountain ranges. And right there in the center, all the minerals and the nutrients from all the soils are gathered, therefore giving us one of the most fertile lands in the country.
And how did
Yes.
you and so
Uh,
did this form your culinary point of view?
People cook here. When I was growing up, people cook here as it's part of their everyday thing. You know, we don't have groceries here, so for example, we butcher. We would be butchering a pig, which would last us for a couple of weeks or to a month, depending. We have poultry at the back with native chicken, and also as an Ilocana, it's part of us. that we plant various vegetables in the backyard. So everything that you see, we have less flowering plants than anything else because everything else is edible greens, you know. So I grew up in that kind of notion in which whatever you cook, you just have to go around the house and around the backyard and find your lunch. Our palate revolves around the freshness of stuff we could get around on that same day. So early on, that was my upbringing. And I learned about bulk cooking whenever it's harvest season or planting season, because we have to prepare meals for the planters, for the harvesters. When I was 12, my dad, our farm hand, got sick. It was just me and another kid in the house where it was left. And my father had said that, Koy, you have to prepare lunch for these people. And I had no clue, but so there's some mung beans in there. So I'll make mungo and make rice. You know, early on here in this area, as a kid, before you even read and write, learn how to, you're taught how to cook rice.
The bounty of your farm just really was the foundation of your learning how to cook and cook well. So let's take it a step further. You came to the United States. So what
Yeah.
happened then?
Well, you know, when I was in the US specifically, and let's move forward to San Francisco, to the Bay Area, where I actually stayed for most of my life, collectively about 19 years in San Francisco Bay Area. You know, it has gotten so popular with this model of farm to table dining. To me, it was a strange notion because for me, that was actually a lifestyle even then when I was a kid.
I know you were already doing it before it became a buzzword.
Yeah, before it came a word. So actually discovered, whoa, there's actually a word for it. It just, to me, it was strange at the beginning, but later on, I decided to further my career by learning. I have Chef McGowan to thank from Rubicon Estate from before, who took me under his wing, and then taught me the finer ways to cook, to set up stuff. You know, so I was very fortunate to be able to learn and enhance my skill and make something out of what I know.
So what was your position at Rubicon?
Well, a friend of mine actually called me many years ago. They were having a big affair in there for like a lunch tasting menu, which will also pair with the wines. And a good friend of mine who worked there said, Koy, I know your way around it. I know that you're pretty much familiar with your way around in the kitchen. We need someone to help us. So I started first scrubbing Kumamoto oysters, all 400 of them, with a steel brush, washing them religiously. And from there, from chef de partie, and then later on, I get to do more important tasks, you know.
So after Rubicon, chef, where did you go?
I was finally invited to work as a concierge for a small inn in Yonville. It's called Vintage Inn by the Villaggio Spa and Resort. And I worked as a concierge in one of their properties. And that's when everything kind of opened up for me. I get to know the winemakers. I get to know the chefs personally, the hosts, the people that make bookings at the French Laundry, you know, and things like that. That's how I made that connection. And with the farmers, with the growers. That was fun. That was a fun 3-year ride as a concierge. So Napa Valley for me was there. And then later on, I left the wine country, and I was invited to be an executive chef at the Filipino restaurant. So I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to reconnect with my heritage, you know, as a Filipino, and to work at a Filipino restaurant and make some changes and make something important out of it. So needless to say that working at the Filipino restaurant is actually one of the most challenging career or work I've ever had. I had the most challenging time dealing with our own kind, unfortunately. But it was a very sharp learning experience. You know, I did learn a lot. I did learn a lot how to deal with people, how to talk to my fellow Filipinos, or Philams, that is. Um, and then just to further explain to them and for them to realize that, you know, not everybody's the same, not everybody has the same style. Um,
Actually, Chef, I am rather jealous that you're back home and seeing this video that you put together for us. I'm like, I want to go home. I want to be there because, ladies and gentlemen, it's a treat. So after this interview, I really, really would invite you to watch the video that the chef has prepared for us.
thank you.
It's wonderful. It is beautifully done.
Yes, so Maria and Dada Banata were actually my last client as a personal chef before I left the States. Maria and Dada Banata, specifically Mr. Banata, was actually the pride and joy of the film community in the States, only because Dado is a inventor. He invented the integral parts of our computer system, specifically the motherboard and also the image accelerator. I'm not too certain if that is actually, but it has something to do with accelerating images on screen, and also as a basis for the smartphones that we use now and the internet, and that's why we could do this video. And with his fortune, being not even knowing that he has all these wonderful things, because all he cared about is improving the lives of people. One of the most inspiring things that Nado had said was, one day, Cocoy, people will just hold their computers on their hand for a telephone. And you know what? That's what we're doing now. You know, and all the way from the Philippines here in Isabela, I'm using a small cell phone as my connection for my Wi-Fi, and to do this video with you guys. This guy from Cagayan, also from Cagayan Valley, which is from a province next to me up north, you know, from Igig, Cagayan, Dado Manata. That's why we got along together, I think, because we have rather of a similar flavor profile from this region. You know, and I remember whenever I used to cook mung bean soup for him, he gets a little teary-eyed because he would remember his mother. You know, so those things, I think those are more important to me than meeting any you know, celebrities. You know, it's the fact that it touches you in a way that it will take you back to happy memories with the people that you love, and a certain time and place of your life that meant so much. When you eat something, you'll be reminded of something fabulous, something wonderful, something memorable that will just remind you that it's a life worth living, you know, and to be grateful on what you have or what you had and the people that surrounded you.
I so agree with that. I agree with your philosophy of life and your philosophy in food. So tell me, Chef, when you cook, where do you get your inspiration?
My inspiration comes from my surroundings and what's available in season. So I take advantage. You know, I grew up in a household when there's a bountiful harvest of something, whether it could be a fruit, you know, grains, legumes. We maximize on that opportunity, because the next time we're going to have that is next year again. But we do know what goes in season, you know, what's in season, and then we basically plan our culinary program around that. So, for instance, right now in front of me, are you familiar with this fruit?
It's hard for me to tell.
Okay, is that better? Okay. So
Oh, I was going to ask you, what is that?
this is called litoko, locally called litoko. It's a fruit of a rattan palm. So it's a rattan fruit. It's very tart. It's let me get a sample here. It's quite tart. It has a scaly skin like a snake.
Yeah, I
Right.
see it.
The inside is very tart. It's a little juicy. It's a little sandy or mealy in texture.
I see it. Yes.
Okay, so it has like a little. Um, it has a really nice Fibonacci sequence going on there.
Yeah, I can
Uh,
see that too.
yeah, it's like a pangolin fruit. Um, but in here, people eat this acidus with the salt. Um, for me, however, I wanted to do something more creative with that because I wanted to take advantage of its tartness, which will be great for salads. This fruit is also pickled with local vinegar, and or it could be made into a burro or fermented in a syrup. So those applications are all antiquated, and until now they're still practiced. So I'm glad to see that. And when you see this, they do grow. They do grow in the Cordilleras mostly, or in the Sierra Madre Mountains, where the wild rattan actually thrives. And interestingly, I learned just recently that rattan fruit could cause a tribal war. You know, when the rattan fruit is actually bearing fruit, it will take about a year. Okay, so when they would discover a certain rattan plant bearing flowers already, they would claim it. They would claim the fruit and the plant. So therefore, no one else could actually put a claim on it. No other clan would. So they're quite prolific, there's quite a lot of them. And when you bring it down from the mountains, it could be quite some income, I mean, it could give you quite value for it, and one could make a lot of money from it. So anyway, so they would claim it, and then if some other clan would actually, take it without any permission or would steal it, then that could cause a little war. So,
Oh my gosh, that little fruit can cause a lot of trouble then, huh?
yeah, yeah.
How do you use this fruit then? How do you use the fruit? I know there's in your video, I saw a little snippet, right? Of
Yeah,
you, I think I saw you cutting the fruit up a little bit.
I used it for one dressing. It's the rattan fruit dressing. It's actually used for the roasted vegetables. I made a roasted vegetable salad. That's actually quite Ilocano, like roasting your eggplant, your okra, or any fresh vegetables you could get. We don't boil it. We put it over live coals, to give you that extra flavor. And then it's enhanced with KBL. KBL is kamatis bagoong lasuna. There should be a KBLL. It should be KBLL for kamatis bagoong lasuna and luya or laya, because we put quite a bit of ginger in our salad. So
Chef, what is lasuna?
lasuna
What?
is onion.
So KBL, kamatis,
Yes,
bagoong.
KBL, that's known also in Ilocandia. It's a condiment. It's like your Ilocano salsa. It goes with the bagnet or anything fried or anything grilled. Also, you use that as a filling for a fish before you wrap it in banana leaves and put it over coals. So we simply call it KBL. So in this video, I made a dressing on top of the KBL, a rattan fruit dressing that would go along with the roasted fruit as well to provide you that acidity, and just to put things together, because we're serving that with crispy pata or deep fried crispy pork hocks. So you needed a little bit more of an acid there to cut through the fat, so it will be healthy. We
I know,
like
I
things to
saw
be a little healthy.
a little healthy. I know that my mother is Ilocano, so I grew up eating a
Yes.
lot of Ilocano food. It's simple yet very tasty, and there's complexity in a dish, in a simple Ilocano dish. And I miss it because we really don't have an Ilocano restaurant here in San Francisco. So maybe when you come back, we can start one.
Sure.
And now that you're back home, back in the Philippines, do you find joy again in cooking and farm to table and the true sense of the word? Because I follow you on Facebook and I know that you do seasonal cooking as well. I
My father built me a makeshift kitchen that was used in the video because I've been wanting to have multiple wood-firing wood ovens, you know, so that I could simultaneously cook a lot of things. And I just find joy in the organic sense of burning a wood, seeing a real fire, the charcoal, the smoke. It adds so much flavor in the food. Um, and then being outside, the fresh air, you're not stuck inside a commercial kitchen with the fans on and with the sterile environment, but yet you still get to see the greeneries of the rice field and the calamansi tree, you know. These things we have taken for granted when I was there. And then referring to the video also, that everything that you see in that video all came from our farm. Like the pork that's being produced there, we actually grow pork here. We have a farm, and and the produce, the one exception of the rattan fruit, of course, that came from the mountains nearby. But the produce you'd see there all came locally.
So what is the name of your farm?
It's called Corlin Integrated Farms. Corlin is a contraction of two words, Cor for Cornelio, my father, and Lin for Catalina. So Corlin Farms. So actually, the story goes in 1988 we have a small rice mill.
What was so special about the rice mill?
Well, first of all, having a rice mill back in the days, it's actually waiting. It's like waiting for a bus that would come from Isabela that will take you to Manila, which would take an entire day. So it's the same way as taking your rice to be hauled in a certain place. So when my parents decided to open up a small business of a rice milling business, they've also introduced the very first door-to-door service. If you wanted your rice to be hauled, we'll pick it up from your house. And of course, back then we didn't have phones yet, so they would ask their children to go to us and ask for pickup. And then we'll pick it up, and then we'll take it to our mill, and then we'll hull your rice, and then we'll take it back to deliver to your home.
So Chef, tell me, how would you describe Filipino flavor?
If you grew up in the Philippines, and if you grew up in a certain region, your idea of Philippine food is actually is based on from your area, from the region you grew up with. For example, me here, I grew up in Isabela. So for me, the best food are actually from Isabela. You know, although the food from other regions such as Bicol, you know, Ilocos and Manila, I mean, they're good, you know, they're good too, but nothing hits home but the food that you grew up with. So that's, for me, that's Filipino food growing up. And then going forward, I live in the US. I get to meet all Filipinos from all walks of life and all parts of the Philippines, from Cebu, you know, from Bicol, from Mindanao. And they have, and that's when and that's when things got a little complicated because, you know, to them, things that may appeal to me may not to them. So that's why I had to figure out and find a common ground so that we could come up with like a default. You know, what's a good example of Filipino food? Filipino food is like its islands, you know, it's an archipelago. Altogether, it's beautiful, you know, but if you go on a micro level, it's still beautiful. So altogether, you know, coming together as one, you have this brilliant repertoire of food. So to me, Filipino food is that. It's kaleidoscope of flavors, kaleidoscope of culture, of languages. It's kaleidoscope of tradition, kaleidoscope of life experiences. And most importantly, it's something that makes them happy, you know, at home. It brings you home. Filipino food is home. I think that's the most important part. It's being home.
I felt that. I felt that sincerity in your heart as you described the food.
Sorry. So there's really no use to compete. You know that this lechon is better than this lechon. This adobo is better than this adobo than the other adobo. You know, they're all good. You know, I mean, it's just a matter of preference. You know, just cook it and feed people. I mean, I think it's more important that way. I think everybody would be happier that way.
True, true. Now, if your parents were going to ask you to cook a meal for them, they're it's up to you. You decide. Let's say it's their 50th wedding anniversary, and they want you to cook a wonderful meal for them. What would you prepare?
You know, would be roasting a whole pig, but the inside would actually be Ilocano style. You know, would be filling that up with tamarind flowers and tendrils. You know, the tender part of the tamarind leaves, some salt and garlic, and that's it. Wrap it up and lechon for like 7 hours. And then we'd pair it up with maybe a bringhe or a rice dish from something that you would see in Manila as a festivity food, as a centerpiece. We could also make some machado. We do have some fantastic beef in the area. You know, we have a lot of pasture land in Isabela as well. We do get a lot of local beef. Great meat for braising and stewing. So I would definitely make a machado, my mom's recipe, you know, in which you would actually put a lard inside a brisket roast, just to keep it moist, you know. So what we call the larding, we use a burike for that. It's actually a steel cylinder with a sharp end, and then you just insert the pork lard in there, and then just pull it out, and actually it's in there magically. So yeah.
So, chef, when you make that meal for your parents' anniversary, make sure to invite me because man, that menu sounds so good. It
Well, you
sounds
guys would
so
definitely be sponsoring a wedding. So how about
okay.
that?
We're up to the challenge. So let me turn the tables a little bit. So you've made this beautiful meal for your parents, right? So what if you were asked to make a meal for a big time celebrity, like I don't know, off the top of my head, the Obamas? What Filipino dish would you prepare for them?
Something that I would prepare from home. You know, I would give them a nice adobo, and then some grilled vegetables, if not steamed vegetables, with a really nice dressing on the side. Um, I mean, you know, having a salad here in the States, when people say salad, it would automatically think about lettuce, you know. But here in the main country, when you say salad, it's something that you actually cook. So it's either that or tendrils of vegetables, or even seaweeds, you know, like the grape, the sea grapes, or
Yes.
we call it lato, kokto, all that stuff, you know. So if I were to cook for the Obama, in which I had the opportunity to do back then, you know, I was very fortunate to be part of a fundraisers event in which we cooked for the Obama. This is when he was actually running. And one of the things that they liked also was actually the crab lumpia. So yeah, it's actually a fresh lumpia with crab meat, Dungeness crabs inside it. And then with the hearts of palms, really lightly and seasoned. It's on the citrusy side as well, just to keep it fresh and light. So if we were cooking for Obama, something light, I guess, something flavorful, something that is not very heavy on the digestive system.
All the dishes
So
that you just mentioned, they are like dishes that I know have Ilocano or Isabela flavor. And I love that. Simple, plain, yet very, very flavorful. That is awesome. What is your
yes,
favorite Ilocano? Oh, what? Not even. I won't even say that. What is your favorite ingredient to cook with?
if I may consider salt as an ingredient,
Thank you.
Pangasinan anodized salt would be great. I'd like to do a shout out to my manang Manang Lenny of ex Road Salt, Philippine Sea Salts. She's based in San Diego now. Hi, Manang. We have to go to Pangasinan and get your fantastic salt as well. One of my sources of salt also is from Mangaldan, Pangasinan, from good friend Jay Abalos. Hello, Jay. He's based in New York in particular. I also like black peppers. I do get native black peppers. Shout out again to Red, Mang Red, they're in Batangas. I do use Batangas native black peppers. They grow wild and they get harvested, like 3 times a year. And that's what I use. And they're quite potent, they're very fragrant, and they're fantastic with a slab of steak. So salt, pepper, and bagoong. Bagoong, the anchovy fermented paste sauce, that is, the monamon. So
That's the fish one, right?
yes, that's with the anchovies, white anchovies. So
I
that's
love
a staple in this kitchen, in this area, or in any Lucania kitchen, that is. So that's a mainstay. I like to use a lot of garlic and a lot of onions. We use a lot of fresh onions in here. Our onions, they're kind of like the lasanas are kind of a cross between shallots and onions. So they're sweet, they're gentler, yes. We do get the white varietal as well, and that is actually widely used in here and grown in here as well. Those are the sweeter kind, and I refer to them as the non-cooking onions because you can eat them raw, and they're pretty sweet. And I use them a lot as a topping, as a finisher on noodles or fried rice or anything. It gives you that zing as well, but the sweetness is unmistakable. We have a lot of ginger in here, which is quite a rarity nowadays, because we do get the hybrid kind that has come from Japan and China. So they're prolifically grown here because we do have contract growers that would come here and just use and till the land for ginger that are not endemic here. But they get to use native ginger, which is more potent, more spicier and hotter. And the best thing, you don't need a whole lot of them. Just a little bit of ginger goes a long way, that is, as opposed to the ones that you'd find elsewhere. Here in Isabela, we do produce a fairly good amount of sugar, or muscovado. We do have some interesting sugar canes. The canes are not as big as the ones you'd find maybe in the sugar in Negros or some other parts of, but we do have this at least 2-inch diameter of a sugar cane, and that's actually used here. Still locally produced. There's a town here in Isabela called Banawag in Santiago City. They do make muscovado from scratch right there on their storefront. And also that's where they make the patupat. It's another form of rice cake wrapped in palm, woven palm pockets, and it's hung on the boiling syrup. So it'll give you, and it'll cook there. It's actually filled with the stick of rice. So it's cooked within the muscovado syrup. As it reduces, it cooks. So by the end, you'll have rice cake, then you'll have muscovado sugar.
So, Chef, let me take you back.
Sure. Sorry.
It's okay. No, I forgot to ask you this in the beginning. So, where did you have? I'm sure you did, but for our viewers, did you have any formal training or education in cooking to be a chef?
I do, however, have a hotel degree from Bonn, in which I would like to further that into something more business. So when I got the opportunity and take on a scholarship in New York, so I did go there, and initially I started the hotel, but I shifted to international business degree. And so when I graduated, I worked for office in an office setting, and from office work, and then 9/11 happened. I moved to San Francisco Bay Area,
And that's where it all
and then
started
I
for
signed
you.
up. Yeah, and then I started I jumped from working for an accounting office there in California Street in San Francisco, just across the Bank of America building. But as far as working in a office setting, it wasn't for me. It was debilitating, you know, it was like prison. And if you're working under someone, and if you are an artist and if you're creative, that's kind of a punishment because you know you're inhibited from exercising options on how to do things better, how to creatively resolve items. You know, you have to refer to an SOP all the time. You know, so that's why I could never be a lawyer. Um,
Right. And cooking provided that for you. It provided that creative outlet for you.
Yes. In fact, I remember when I was 23, I worked for a divorce attorney in Benicia, Virle Marcus. And at night, I would work in Vallejo for a restaurant called the Water Barge by the pier. And I would do a night shift after I worked from the really stressful job at the divorce legal office. Um, I would go to my restaurant job and happy you're there, even though I would get screamed at by the chef. And you know, it was all a learning curve to me, and being able to spend some time in that setting, it provided me the tools to be able to move on forward and be able to figure out what I really wanted in life. Opportunities is a very tricky or kidding way of setting you up. And I was able to work for Thomas Keller. I was able to work with the finest restaurants in the Napa Valley and be able to make friends with winemakers and winery owners and tour operators and make you know very meaningful friendship with them up until
Right.
now.
You
So
are basically, your career path is the epitome of um, having leading with your heart. Your passion led you to this success, to your career, and to your ultimate successes and stuff. And I really salute you for following your passion and the love of cooking and serving and making people happy and spreading your love through food.
I just wanted to impart that schooling um, is very important. You know, I am currently 41 years old. And if I were given a chance to go back to school again, um, I would pursue something solid. You know, I would love to become an accountant. I would like to become a doctor, maybe. Cooking is innate. Cooking is something within you. You know, whatever you do, it'll never go away. And while you're young, learn something else. Learn a new trade. Learn a professional trade. Because you know what? If you're poor, if you don't have a lot of money, you know, you can make your money. And then when you have enough, and when you think you're secure, then you could pursue on cooking, and you'll be happier. You're not going to worry about making money. You know, you're not going to worry about staying afloat. You know, especially nowadays that COVID is here. So my advice to the kids, especially the ones who are going to the culinary schools now, it's not because of the prestige. Yes, it's there, you know. And if you do it right, it could bring you a whole lot of fortune, you know. But in the end, it's 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 um, it's a skill, it's a talent, it's a gift. It's given to you. If you really are fortunate and passionate to do cooking as a profession, then whatever you do is always there. So while you're at it, learn something else. You know,
Right.
I am afraid that a lot of the kids nowadays, especially the ones who are going to the culinary school or tourism industry, um, you know, they're not given the entire picture of running a business, dealing with people, you know, and what's the real world is like as compared to making chicken cordon bleu, you know. I mean, it's just a matter of learning. You know, I mean, take advantage of what you can find and what you can learn, and I think it will make you a better person and a more successful chef if that's what you would like to become someday. At least you have some solid foundation. Yeah. And one last thing, um, if you're a Filipino or Filipino American, or if you have some Filipino in you, and you wanted to pursue Filipino food, and you wanted to showcase Filipino food, I just wanted to ask a favor of learning the classic way first. You know, just like an artist, like Picasso, before he came up with his outstanding abstract works, he went through the grid of the classics. So he had the still life, he had the classical technique, but once he mastered that, he was able to do whatever he wanted. I think that is the same with cooking as well. I mean, you can give me some European type of food, but you can't make a nice adobo. Doesn't matter what kind of adobo. So, I mean, what value is that? You know, it's about value.
So thank you for that.
Thank
Let's
you.
go through some rapid fire questions before we
Sure.
end. Really rapid fire and 1-2 word answers, okay? What's your favorite gulay?
Okra,
Mine too. Favorite dessert?
fried banana.
Ooh, I know somebody who loves that too. And
Yeah,
I
hi
think,
Sonia.
um, and your favorite or your most hated food? What don't you like?
Oh, what I don't like. Okay. In as much as I would like to appreciate caviar, I just find it funny. That's all.
Are you open to writing a cookbook? Yes or no?
Yes, I am actually working on a book right now, and I keep stalling on it for the last 5 years now. Because as I go on and pursue and keep on cooking, um, I learn new things, and as I go back to my form, you know, to the old writings that I have, especially when I was there in the U.S., I was on a new perspective in my state of life. As I look at it, you know, there are times that I would say, "Hey, this sounds a little arrogant," so I'll just scratch the whole thing off and make another one.
So, chef, are you open to hosting a cooking show?
I think no, because in the video itself, you probably see 2% of me there. Um, I'm not really a TV person. I get so much anxiety just being in front of the camera. And it took me a lot of guts just to be here live with you today.
Oh, so if you were to throw a dinner party and invite anybody from the past and the present, who would you invite? Name 5 names.
Sylvia Lotore to be there, definitely. Florante Aguilar has to be there. Um, Nicanor Abelardo.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
You know, if you ask me why, I'd like, because these are artsy people. I mean, they're my kind,
Hmm.
and we do appreciate the same things. Um, I'd like Robert Mundavi to be there too. Yeah.
Nice.
Eartha Kitt.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I love Eartha Kitt too. So, chef, where do you go from here?
Well, a good friend of mine, Emma Gomez, based in Bohol, we were supposed to have a project together before COVID. So I think when all the lockdown has been lifted, I think I will resume on that. It's essentially building a farm and building a more sustainable model for tourism, especially now with the COVID and all, it will actually revolve around that. Apart from that, if I'm going to be home, I think I'll be home most of the time. Um, just make the best of what I have. I mean, my music teacher, Minda Azarkan, scolded me once in an email because I kept on complaining of my inefficiencies of people here. Um, and then she said to me that, quit complaining, just make the best of what you have. And since you're good at that, just do that. And just like a light bulb, I told myself, sure, I'll do that, and I'll make the best of it. I'm given a farm with so much in it. So it's just a matter of descarte. It's just a matter of making something out of the fruits of whatever we could harvest in here. But now, with COVID and all, the main focus now is food security. So we do have a program with the Department of Agriculture. It's called the Plant Program. So we've been planting quite a bit. So this is the planting time. Actually, it's the planting season for rice now. So we just planted a whole lot of rice. And that will be harvested in 3-4 months from now. And then we're gonna follow up with another batch of rice. And after that is mung bean season in the summer. And in between, for those plots that are not reached by water, we do plant corn. So we do, we could focus on that. And I think that's what we're focusing now. I was talking with my father and mom. We're gonna focus on planting aggressively. I think we're gonna focus on rice and corn, just like how our ancestors did in this area, just like our lolos and the people before them made the best out of this land, this through rice and corn.
So, Chef, I am so excited to watch this video. I know that you had a lot of help. Is there somebody you would love to mention who put this all together? My God, if you guys, when you see this video, my jaw is dropping and I just want to eat everything that he's cooked.
Well, I'm very fortunate to have such very supportive parents. My mother is the finance. Mami pera. My father is very supportive as well. Once I've asked him that I needed a kitchen, he took on the project of building this makeshift wood fire burning oven kitchen in our backyard. Next to the calamansi tree, and where you could see the rice field as well. And also a good friend, Francis Gavino, or we're called Don, formerly of VD Escudero as well. So we took him in now as part of the family because of COVID as well. I couldn't go back. So he's here now. And then when I promised that I would make a video for you, it took us 3 days one whole day to shoot the cooking scene. 2 nights that they edited, they sat down and cleaned it up and fixed the lighting. And then last night, I sat with these 2 guys, amazing guys, Ryan and Jay. You would see them on the credit page towards the end. Ryan and Rob, of the production crew, just 2 of them, imagine. They actually produce a wedding prenup videos, but this is quite exciting for them as well. It's the first time I think this is the first in this area that is filmed in this style. So
really well done. Really well done.
For doing such a very good job. And also, I'd like to thank my dear friend Florante and Fides for letting me use their music. I hear a lot of new music now, but there's something so magical about our music from before. It conveys so much love. And when you talk about it, our food should be the same. That's why I thought that they would be the proper soundtrack for these. I'd like to thank Florante and Fides, and also would like to say thank you to Miss Sylvia Latorre. I've always loved her music, especially the classical repertoire. I'd like to thank also a local Ilocano classic singer. He's no longer around, Bobby Gutierrez. So he's known by my grandfathers and the old folks in here. He was a mainstay for a lot of the everyday musical treat for the ears. So And also, I'd like to thank Miss Sonia Dellen because throughout, let me share this. Miss Dellen was responsible on introducing me to a lot of people, especially to Banatos as well. She's responsible in connecting me to vital key people that made my life easier and it made me successful really in San Francisco and up until now. So I give that to her. Thank you, Sonia. I mean, it means a great deal to me. And through Sonia, I met you, Winnie. So I'm very grateful for that as well. And I'm very happy that you came to visit us in Manila, and I get to see you and dine with you. And I look forward to our friends to be coming home. It's not as bad as you think now. I'm very happy to be home because when I came home, I shopped to death at Costco and shipped everything here, and even for equipment, and then come to find out later on that I could find the same things from here, if not better. And I'm like, geez, I could have just came home with all the cash instead
I
of.
may just I may just set up a tiny home in one corner of your farm and live there.
Sure, as it is.
And I also want to echo what you've said about Sonia. She is one, I would call her a mover and a shaker in the San Francisco Bay Area, very well connected to the Philo-Am community. And even better, that she's a relationship builder, but more than that, she is just a wonderful person with a great heart, so generous and giving. So I count her as one of my best friends. So Sonia,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And we'll
you.
keep the fried bananas coming.
Yes, exactly right. I owe her a leche flan. Thank you so much for
Thank
talking with
you.
us today. And I so look forward to what the future is going to hold for you. I know it will only be good things. I will continue to follow your journey on Facebook
Thank
and
you.
we'll keep in touch. And I promise when we get home, when COVID is over and there's no more
Sure.
quarantine, I will come and see you in Isabela.
Thank you so
Maybe
much.
Sonia will
I
come
mean,
with me.
absolutely, you guys are welcoming here. You always have a room. Mi casa es su casa. We'd love to have you over. And again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart in reaching out to me all the way here from Isabela. And we are all happy to be sharing a little bit of our treasure. This is our life, our heritage, and most importantly, this is our heart from our homes to yours.
Thank you, Chef, on behalf of the Filipino food movement. Just Nina.
Thank you. Just like Nina.
Good
Goodbye.
night.